All right, with us today we have 5 of the top hunting packs for 2023. We've got the Kuiu Pro, the XO K4,
got the Stone Glacier Crux frame, Sky 5900 bag, the Kifaru Bedlam on the duplex frame, and the Mystery Ranch Beartooth 80 on the Guide Light MT frame.
Between Forrest and I, we have real world experience with all of them, but we want to really test them side by side and see what our thoughts are.
So the main subject of this test is going to be comfort under load. We're going to load up each of these bags first with 50 pounds. We're each going to carry it, and then we're going to bump it up to 100 pounds and do the same trail. That's going to simulate a successful backcountry hunt.
And then with each pack, we're going to have a card above that'll link to the individual pack video. We'll break down more of the bag, kind of our opinions on the pack for what that may be worth. This video is going to be all about comfort under load. So that being said, let's load them up with 50 pounds. We've got about a mile hike, 200 feet of elevation gain and loss. We'll see how it goes.
Here we go.
Final thoughts on the first run. What do you think?
I have no complaints whatsoever.
Padding's a little stiffer on this one.
The frame moves independently of the shoulder straps.
Go. I think as you increase weight, it'll become more of your friend than your enemy.
2 more packs?
2 more packs. This one is definitely the heavy duty.
For the Kuiu, I didn't have the gripes that you had. It's not my standout favorite. I do prefer the XO and the Stone so far, mostly because of that, you know, as you're walking, that lateral load shift, it is present. I mean, there's less waist belt there in comparison to, say, the Kifaru or the XO or the Stone even.
The waistband on this pack was just like a suction cup, man.
So the Kifaru, having just stepped up from the Kuiu, waist belt.
Not that there's anything particularly wrong with the Mystery Ranch. It's just, it's a grade below. It's a big difference between the Kifaru and the Mystery Ranch in terms of how secure I feel.
All right, should we switch it out for the last run at 50 pounds?
The final one?
Let's go.
It moves with me. Like as I'm hiking, shoulders, little rotation, hips moving. It doesn't feel loose by any means. This is embarrassing.
You're not alone.
I'm glad. Maybe I'll just say we're trying extra hard because we're on video. Well, we're back.
We are back next day. 100 pounds per pack, here we go.
Luckily we got a little bit flatter trail today, but we're gonna go for it. 100 pounds each pack, about a mile.
Yeah, try and isolate the human variable and get more specific to the packs.
Yep.
100 pounds per.
Here we go.
You wanted to do this, here we go.
Hey, no. I think this was your idea. After the first test, what do you got?
A lot more comfortable this Stone is with 100 pounds than some other packs I've had previously.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of starting off, you know, we just pulled up, let's get going. I didn't secure the load lifters, you know, but I felt it, and once I did, it was money.
I feel like this pack isn't as heavy as I expected to be. Thinking about what it felt like with 50, doubling the weight, same amount of comfort, more fatigue on my body.
Yeah.
If that makes sense?
Agreed.
Lumbar, hip belt, shoulder straps, everything feels solid to me.
No issues?
No, I don't have a single issue, honestly. Wish there was an easier way to do this test.
Nope. This is it.
A little tight.
All right, we just wrapped up iteration 2 with 100 pounds. What are your thoughts with the Kuiu?
I am not anti-Kuiu by any means. I like a lot of their products, but this is not one of them. The lumbar support is too thick. I may be alone on this, but I am not a fan of the grip. it pulls my shirt, my skin in weird ways. I notice digging in on these metal clips right here, or the tighteners, into my ribs, which again, I'm skinny, so that might be a me thing, but also the shiftiness of the pack, it's not as bad as we had with 50.
Probably because it's more weight, I suppose, huh?
More weight, and I've got it tightened down as much as it'll go.
Gotcha.
But laborious is what it feels like.
Huh?
And I'm going from the EXO, which is a pack I know fits me, but yeah, I would not.
Well, that's a good point. Do you think any of your concerns are, you know, pertaining to adjustment with the Kuiu, or you think you're pretty rock solid?
I tried, man.
Yeah.
You saw me on the trail, I was adjusting this every chance I had.
So ultimately, very capable product, but sometimes it comes down to the individual body carrying it, perhaps, you know?
Yeah, I would say so.
The EXO, very much like the Stone, almost one and the same.
Yep.
I think the frames are very, very comparable. I mean, I have zero concerns with comfort with either one. I do feel like with this pack, the EXO, I can stand perfectly upright a little more easily than I could with the Stone.
Yeah.
That might be an adjustability, you know, related.
Sure.
I might not have that quite fine-tuned, but I mean, dude, very impressive.
Jealous.
So, ready to go swap them out?
Swap them out.
All right.
Go on the Kifaru. Don't have, you know? This is the third test. To this point, I feel a lot less tired than I did with that pack.
Really?
Yeah. Like I could keep going. When I had that pack on, I was like,
You wanted to get
I'm ready to get home.
I think that's just the difference in the body types.
I think so, because you seem to be doing good.
Good enough. I do feel like I'm working a bit more than I had with the others.
Yeah.
I don't know how to quantify that, but it's true.
I feel solid. Forrest?
You should.
Yeah. I think the stiff frame is a noticeable difference, but I wouldn't call it a plus or a minus. It's just a different style of pack than the Stone or the EXO.
So pretty much a preference
Yeah, I
for
think
the
so.
user.
For me, again, the lumbar pad is a little big, but still very manageable. I'd be happy using this pack for a long pack out.
I don't think I had the number of gripes that you did, just because of the difference in our body types, perhaps.
Sure.
But I do feel like I'm working more with 100 pounds than I had been with the Stone and the EXO.
Yeah.
I don't know how to quantify that,
Right.
but it's factual, it's true.
Yeah.
It just feels like I have something larger behind me than I did previously.
Yeah.
I actually prefer the Kuiu with 100 pounds than I did with 50 pounds.
I would agree.
And I think that's just because of the limited movement of that 100-pound mass than was compared to the 50-pound mass yesterday. Probably because I'm moving slower today.
Coming back to the truck with this pack, I am not overly anxious to get it off.
That's a good thing.
I know. I feel like I can keep going. Not that we have to.
Next pack?
Next pack. The old Mystery Ranch.
Sweaty. All right. That's the fourth round with 100 pounds. The Kifaru performed as expected for me.
Yep.
Very stiff and rigid, very capable, but not in a bad way. It just bears the load a little differently than does some of the other packs.
The Mystery Ranch, I was not about it as much yesterday, but honestly, with 100 pounds, it's doing better than I thought it would. It does feel to the maximum capacity right now with the width of the shoulder straps.
Yeah.
And then the way that it's kind of distributing weight, it's starting to all go to the bottom of my hips.
Gotcha.
And then to the front of my shoulders. And I haven't been able to adjust that out of it necessarily, but
got a different strap design with that yoke approach.
Yeah, and I can
2 independent straps.
Right, and I can feel that kind of squeezing my neck a bit. And
I think it all comes down to a difference in the approach.
right.
The difference in the end user.
Except we can both agree pretty much across the board that that style of waist belt is far superior to something like this.
No objection.
Yeah.
I do like this waist belt.
Yeah. And the Stone and the EXO have similar.
Correct.
And then the Kuiu and the Mystery Ranch both go with the thicker padding, smaller belt.
Well, should we switch it out for the last 100-pound run?
Last run. Let's do her. Yeah, dude. That is nice. I feel good though, man, in this one.
Yeah, it's different.
I can honestly say that this pack feels better, lighter. I feel more energized than I did with the previous 3. And I'd say that's saying something since there's about 3 miles with 100 pounds in them.
That really does say something.
This is at the end of the test. Yeah, I like it, just feels good. Got no complaints.
Mystery Ranch, 100 pounds. It's capable. I just think it's a little lacking when it comes to comfort under load. Perhaps it has something to do with the yoke shoulder strap design and the 5-piece waist belt, but I feel the difference, you know. I would prefer, you know, looking at a different direction maybe.
Packs back up on the... Well, that concludes our tests. We put on a couple miles, took those sandbags for a journey. But 50 pounds, then 100 pounds with all 5 of these packs. We'll just walk through and kind of talk about each one now. Starting with the EXO.
The EXO K4.
The K4, yep. We'll start with the waist belt, the lumbar. Honestly, for me, it was perfect. I think that this taller style of waist belt is really the way to go, and the lumbar pad had enough cushion for me without being too obtrusive.
Agreed. It's almost a blend of a Kifaru and a Stone when you look at the frame itself with the waist belt design. Ultimately, it was up there in the top tier of the 5. It rides very good. It rides very well.
Shoulder straps, I didn't feel any pinching in the neck. It wasn't coming too tight or pulling my shoulders back. Yeah, again, I mean, like we both kind of agreed upon, it's pretty much a pack that you don't really feel that much.
Agreed. And there's something to be said about the simplistic approach here. So simple, yet it works so well.
Right. Decent sized straps, no excessive stitching or bells and whistles.
And whether I was carrying 50 or 100 pounds with that pack, it almost felt the same, if that makes any sense.
No, I agree.
It was a nominal difference between the two.
Yep.
More so on the human side than it was on the EXO K4. So.
No, exactly. That's actually a great way to put it. Like the added weight, you could feel the weight, but it didn't change the fit, the feel, the way it rode, how secure it was, how agile you felt, aside from the fact that you were doubling weight. Anything else?
That's all I got. That was very good on that one.
Yeah. The Kuiu Pro 6000.
Not one of my favorites. It's a capable pack. It'll get the job done, and some people like it a lot. It's making an approach towards trying to be, you know, the elite. However, I think it's just a little bit lacking. I think it's a little bit due to the shoulder strap design, rather than that simplistic, you know, Stone, Kifaru, XU straight up over the top, or XO. This one has a little bit of contour to it that for my body type didn't ride quite as nicely. And when it came to the ride under load, again, not one of the better performers, at least for me personally.
No, I'd agree. I found that the waist belt was inadequate in both padding and size. The lumbar, for me, I was not a fan of the lumbar. It felt too thick, and also, like I said, I do not like the grip on the lumbar. As far as the shoulder straps go, my only complaint really there was this metal tightener would dig into my ribs. And you know, I'm a pretty skinny guy, but that would eat me alive after a couple miles. And when I have used this pack, I noticed that even with lighter weight. And then the shiftiness, it feels more fatiguing, kind of like you said.
It does. It's more fatiguing. You do have a lateral sway to the load. It's a little bit dampened with heavier weight in the pack than it was with the 50 pounds, as we had mentioned yesterday. Me, I'm a little bit different on the body type. I got a few more lbs than does Brady, and I'm also shorter. That clip there on the shoulder straps didn't affect me really at all, such as you're describing, but again, just overall fit, feel, like we said, comfort under load, not my favorite.
I'd agree. Okay, the Kifaru. You've had a lot of experience with this pack. What are some of the things that you like about it?
It's a tank. It doesn't have a lot of flex, but sometimes that's preferred in the end user, especially when you go from, you know, different weight ratings of carrying 50, 100 pounds, whatever it may be. But the waist belt is top tier performer on my part. You know, it's got just enough cushion, but not too much.
Yep. So
you don't feel wide around the hips. It wraps around contours, you know, in this axis and on the upright axis. It just rides well. The lumbar pad is obviously quite thick. Some people like it and some people don't. I don't mind it. And the shoulder straps are there. I didn't have any issues with the shoulder straps either. Load is very secure, very stable under movement, just the tank of a pack.
No, I'd agree with that. One thing I will say for me, again, common theme seems to be that I prefer a little bit less of a lumbar pad back there. And I noticed that the way that the hip belt connected to the lumbar pad, there's a little space here on me, so that the pad felt a little larger than I wanted it to. The hip belt was fantastic. I was worried about pinching on my hip flexors as I'm walking. Didn't get any of that. Shoulder straps were good. One thing I do want to look at here is the way that these different frames flex. So what we both kind of were saying the whole time is this is a differently built pack. It's not really, it's hard to compare it to the EXO or the Stone Glacier especially, because when you look at it, like this thing is, it's stiff. It's not a flexible pack. You don't feel it moving with you, especially with load, especially tightened down. It's on your back and it's staying there. Whereas the EXO, the Stone, and the Mystery Ranch would kind of flex as you moved. So it's like, it's just a different approach to.
Yeah, it's not any less appealing to the user. It's just dependent upon the user.
Right.
I mean, you look at the Kifaru and this pack screams that it's going to make it to the summit whether you do or not. It's just based upon what's your personal preference. You know, what are you looking for in a pack?
Yeah.
So.
On to the Mystery Ranch. I feel like Mystery Ranch could use a bit of an update or a refresh on their frame.
And I would agree there. I know they came out with this, which is the Guide Light MT frame. I would say that Mystery Ranch is probably the pioneer of those backcountry type packs that incorporate a meat shelf design. Mm-hmm. I just think that some other competitors in the market maybe have made some advancements that Mystery Ranch should consider and or improve upon themselves. The pack will get it done. There's no doubt about it. Yep. It's just, you know, it's a different frame approach, obviously, a lot more flex. And the shoulder straps, which is a yoke type design, again, it's going to be dependent upon the user, really.
Yeah, I found that the hip belt was less than I wanted. I wanted more coverage like the Kifaru has. And the shoulder straps, this yoke was kind of squeezing me in the back of the neck and pulling me out at the shoulders.
Yeah, I was going to say that yoke type shoulder strap design felt like it was splaying me out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's telling me I need to have better posture. You know what I mean? Keep your shoulders back, but I mean, under that 100-pound load, it wasn't as comfortable as some of the others. So
no, it felt a little bit to the maximum capacity. Stone.
Lastly, the Stone Glacier. Go ahead and start that off if you would.
Sure. Very similar to the EXO, right? Like these two packs are built very similar flex in the frame. This frame will actually bend this way as well, which when I first picked it up, I was like, really?
Questionable, right?
It's not I think it's a good thing. I think Stone Glacier knows what they're doing. These packs are proven, and it just fit well. What I said about the EXO and the Stone Glacier is they really isolate the human element. So carrying these packs told me that I was out of shape, basically.
You're not alone. And it really, I mean, there's something to be said about a company that starts their endeavor by looking at packs only and then gets into other, products.
Sure.
Compared to the vice versa. I want to add in here on your behalf, if I may, that you ended your 100-pound run, the 5th run with this pack, and you were, you had a lot of energy, did you not? Go ahead and speak to that.
Yeah, no, I was feeling better after, the last pack should have the disadvantage, but I was feeling better on this pack than I was the previous 3. So it's kind of hard to argue that. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're talking about a pack that fatigues you more, I don't care how much the base weight is. I could honestly say the weight of these packs empty it didn't correlate to the feeling of them at all.
It didn't. It's so small on that percentage of overall load that it's not really a variable,
No, I agree. I think
I'll accept a few more ounces or perhaps even more, within reason, in a lighter, load, so that I have that capability and comfort when I get up to a heavier load.
Do you want to rate these? If we could go kind of down the list. I mean, would you agree that the Stone and the EXO both come out pretty much tied on top?
I'm gonna say the Stone and the EXO are tied.
Okay.
The EXO, like I said, it's just as good. So the difference there is not in the frame, it's gonna be in the bag.
Yeah.
What are the bag specific preferences as far as organization or accessibility for whoever's gonna purchase it, But the Stone and the EXO, the top tier performers, I would have the Kifaru a very close second to them. It's just a different approach.
Yeah. Very different pack. It feels completely different.
Exactly.
But it's still.
And then I personally, the Kuiu and the Mystery Ranch, now that I've felt some others, they get the job done. For me, my body type, I might consider something else, but.
Yeah, I think I'd take the Mystery Ranch and then the Kuiu, but like you said, if you had to, they're all great packs.
No, they're all going to get the job done.
They're bad packs. There's nothing technically wrong with them. It's just, there's some top performers here.
For sure. And they should be for the money.
For the money, exactly.
Exactly.
For what you're paying, you should get something that you love. So.
All right. Anything else?
Kind of concludes it. I mean, it's been a couple big days, but
yeah,
I feel like I learned a lot.
Myself as well, and I hope it helps everyone else, that's watching the video.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and let us know what your personal preferences are. Like we're saying, there's a lot of different body types out there. Leave in the comments what you found you like. And if you're looking to purchase some of these packs, give us a call. We'll talk to you about all of them. We do sell some of them. Check it out at gearful.com.